Now, Sean Diddy Combs' federal sex trafficking trial is underway. He's charged with 5 counts, including sex trafficking by force. Now, he denies all the allegations. Now, Diddy's ex-partner, the singer Cassie, has returned to the stand. What did she have to say?
Well, this has just sort of been harrowing. I mean, hearing the testimony from Cassie, she was Diddy's longtime partner, describing what she went through. It was years of sexual abuse. It was assault by men hired by Diddy, sex workers hired by Diddy. The jury was shown graphic evidence, video evidence of the acts, sexual acts. They were way too graphic to be shared by the media, but the jury has seen them. Cassie, again, is a woman who showed incredible bravery describing these events. She's now moved on with her life. She's married. She's, I guess in a way, she's moved on, but how could you move on from something like this? I think she is the star witness in this case. I think that it's definitely changed the perception because, Cassie in her own right is a very glamorous person, a celebrity. We don't expect to see them in a courtroom talking about being the victim of sex trafficking. I also think that there's probably a lot of people in Hollywood, frankly, who are nervous, not that they were necessarily involved, but through their association with Diddy, he was really at the top of this Hollywood circle for decades. So I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are, maybe nervous that they could be subpoenaed or that they might be involved in some sort of tangential way to this case. Cassie's been on the stand for 2 days. I think that this will form really the centre of the prosecution's case, but I do think that there's probably a lot more to come, unfortunately, in terms of details.
Yeah, well, thank you for bringing us up to speed and just recapping that at this stage, Diddy denies all of the allegations. He's charged with 5 counts of sex trafficking, including sex trafficking by force. But I want to get to some royal news. A shocking new poll has revealed that Meghan Markle is now less popular in the UK than ever. What's Meghan's current approval rating and what caused this latest dip in public opinion, do you think?
Yeah, so, I mean, in the UK, there's it's almost a constant. There's incessant polling of the public to sort of see what the support's like for the monarchy for particular members of the royal family. It's a constant thing. It's done every quarter. So Meghan Markle has been polled in these polls for over 7 years now, and you can see that there's a very dramatic shift in her opinion ratings from early on when she started dating Harry. It was on the rise. It peaked at the wedding in 2018. Of course, it was this beautiful royal wedding. Of course, that was a positive time for the royal family and for Meghan with the public. And it absolutely has just collapsed since 2020. So basically over the past 5 years, she's been hovering around the 20 to 30% mark. Actually, we were tracking it at Sky in 2023 and she kind of went through a period for about 6 to 8 months where she was relatively quiet, and that was actually, it peaked a little bit, it went back up. And I think the theory was that the less the public is seeing Meghan in public talking, complaining about the royal family, cashing in, doing these things that rub people the wrong way. When she doesn't do that, the ratings start to climb back up again. But obviously in recent months, she's back on the trail, the publicity trail. She's got the cooking show, she's got her product line. And again, I think in the UK, it just doesn't, gel with the public. I think the British public are very sensitive about any time when the royal family looks like they're cashing in. Even though she's not a working royal, she's still included in these polls, and it's a headache, it's a problem. I will say the same polls showed that Kate and Will are more popular than ever. They're both hovering around 75%, which is fantastic. I mean, even King Charles is only at about 60%.
Right.
So definitely that's a positive from these latest polls, because it shows that the future of the monarchy in the UK seems pretty solid. But I think with Meghan, the trick is the less she's out there, the more people like her.
The less she speaks.
Right.
But, when you've been caught trashing the royal family, I think people don't like it. And the polls show that. But that's a great indication that William and Catherine still are going strong.
Yeah.
Now, the royal member Zara Tindle has finally spoken out about the monarchy's feud with her cousin Prince Harry. What did Zara have to say? Yes.
So, Zara Tindle is, again, like all the other members of the royal family, very, very private about these issues with Harry. It's very one-sided. It has been really up until this point. If you think about it, we've had the Oprah Winfrey interview. Harry's done subsequent interviews, most recently for the BBC, talking about this estrangement directly. We've never really had that from the royal family, but Zara Tindle was at an event last week in the UK where she was asked some questions by the audience, and she sort of, I guess in a roundabout way, did chime in on Harry. She kind of said that, look, we're a family like any family. We go through challenges, but she also said that they support each other. I think that's probably all we may ever know from the royal family side, because they do not talk about these kinds of things directly. So I think even Zara saying that, it was such a small statement, but in a way a huge statement, because it's an acknowledgement, I think, of the rift, which is what people have really sort of taken notice of. It's also Zara Tindle's birthday today, so happy birthday to
Zara Tindle.
44. But yeah, you know, I think that she handled it well. I think she acknowledged it, but she also sort of went straight back to saying, look, we're a family, we're a unit. She paid a lovely tribute to her grandmother, Queen Elizabeth. And yeah, you know I'm a fan of Zara Tindle.
Of course. Now, Princess Catherine looked very fabulous in a stylish Victoria Beckham suit during a royal engagement this week, but some fans are convinced that she might be sending a secret message to the Beckhams. What's all this about?
Yeah, well, this is another interesting parallel kind of story where, you know, the Beckham family, who are in many ways the unofficial sort of celebrity royal family in some ways in the UK, they're going through their own turmoils. You know, there's rumours allegedly that there's a falling out between their eldest son, Brooklyn, his wife, Nicola Peltz, and the Beckham family. That has sort of come up again in recent weeks, allegedly after some absences, including at David Beckham's bash, big 50th birthday bash. And people think that maybe Kate is sort of sending a bit of support because, you know, they're both, in a way, going through these sort of family feuds. She wore this stunning olive Victoria Beckham suit, very stylish. And she does wear a lot of Victoria Beckham, I will say. This isn't the first time she's worn one of Victoria's designs, but I think it was, the time of it, I think, was a bit of a message of support, because we know that the Beckhams have been very supportive of the royal family. They've really doubled down on that in the last 18 months. So I think that this is sort of a mutual thing. It's kind of like, I see you, I respect you, I know what you're going through. And she looked fantastic.
Yeah, she absolutely did. Now, royal insiders are claiming that Prince William is already making plans to sideline the Sussexes when he becomes king. Now, what's prompted Will to act, and could the Sussexes actually be banned from Will and Kate's coronation?
Right. Well, this has cropped up again, essentially, because a royal insider called Hugo Vickers has spoken out. He's spoken to sources directly inside the palace. And we knew this. We know that William has been furious about the Sussexes' antics. He's taken a much harder line than King Charles has, and we know that he was outraged about when he found out that Meghan's still using the HRH title recently. That really allegedly infuriated the Prince of Wales. And the theory is now that he will be taking steps from day dot, basically, when he becomes monarch. And the first step could be excluding them formally from the coronation. Obviously, William didn't have a hand in the King's coronation, and of course Harry was invited to that. He attended. He wasn't in the front row, he was in the third row with the sort of extended family members, but he was there. But the idea now is that once the crown moves to William, it's not necessarily, there's no real precedent necessarily for having Harry there. There's actually a precedent where the Duke of Windsor was excluded from his brother's coronation. So there's actually, you know, William would be totally justified in not inviting Harry at all, which is quite shocking when you think about, there was a time not that long ago when Harry, Meghan, Will and Kate were considered the future of the royal family.
Yes.
I think that is absolutely never going to happen. I think now it's William and Kate, their family, and maybe, you know, some of these other cousins. But I think that Harry and Meghan, when Will takes the throne, are going to be history.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. Reilly Sullivan, thank you so much for joining us on Power Hour.
Thank you.